August 5, September 5, October 5, November 5, December 5, January 5, February 5, March 5, April 5, 8 months since this incredibly beautiful woman, but forget her physical beauty, mother of 5. Mother of 5. Let that sink in. I'm a mother of 2, and I can hardly hold it together. Every minute, I need to do something else for the twins. A mother of 5 is found naked, raped, bludgeoned so badly. Her face was practically gone. She had been beaten so badly and left out on the Ma and Pa hiking trail. Who did this thing? As a family member of a murder victim myself, it's really hard to take the next step to actually take a shower and get dressed and drive to the store or go back to school or resume your job or listen to the phone ring or play music on your car radio. Yeah, all of that's hard. This mother of Rachel Morin, she's stuck in a quagmire. She can't move forward. She can't go back because there is no justice. I'm talking about beautiful mom of 5, Rachel Morin. We've got the perp's DNA. We've got a description. We've got one heck of a composite, but no perp. Today, joining me, Rachel's mother. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Good evening, and thank you for being with us. With each tick of the clock, each moment, each minute, each hour that passes, the memory of Rachel Morin and the facts surrounding her murder fade. This is exactly what a defense attorney wants when the time comes for this to go to trial. Nobody remembers. Nobody recalls what happened to Rachel Morin, just simply out for a walk. I remember. Let me jog your memory. Take a listen to Sheriff Jeffrey Galler.
At approximately 11:23 last evening, our deputies responded to a report of a missing person. It was reported by the individual's boyfriend that Rachel Morin, who's age 37, had headed out from her home on Old Emerton Road around 6 p.m. to go to the Ma and Pa Trail. Once she had not returned as and when expected, the family was obviously concerned. Initial information from the boyfriend, again the caller who reported her missing, indicated her car was at the lot at the trailhead here on William Street, behind like where Independent Brewery is, the people that are familiar with Bel Air. The car was there, but she was not.
Is Bel Air, Maryland. With me, an incredible panel, a brain trust, a renowned psychologist, a death investigator, an investigative reporter, an FBI profiler and author, a high-profile lawyer. But first, I'm going to go to a very special guest. I've thought about her. I've wondered about her. I've prayed for her. And now I get to speak to her. Rachel Morin's mother, Patty. Miss Morin, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you keeping Rachel's story alive. I think that's the most important thing right now.
I do too. And with you is high-profile lawyer, the Morin family attorney, from Rice, Murtha, and Soros at ricelawmd.com. Randolph Rice, if I may call you Randy. Randy, just very quickly, isn't it true that the longer a case is delayed, the worse it is for the victim's family and the prosecutor?
Certainly. I mean, we've obviously seen that with Patty and the family, that they've had to go through, as you said at the lead, 8 months of just agony and desperation that they have not caught this man. Um, they know who he is. We know who he is. We've got DNA, we've got a sketch, we've got a video, but we just don't have a name. And that's what we need. That's what Patty and the family needs right now, is a name. And this is what we need it to happen. We need more people to see these sketches. We need more people to see the video. And hopefully somebody comes forward and says, I know who that guy is right there. I know who he is. That's so-and-so.
Guys, for those of you that may have forgotten the facts of the case, listen again to Sheriff Jeffrey Galler.
While it was all of our hope, certainly mine and everyone standing up here with me, and the men and women of our office and all of our citizens, that Rachel would be found safe, at about 1:07 p.m., a citizen called 911 to report a female's body had been located off the trail. At that time, it was obvious that this person was deceased.
Ms. Morin, Rachel's mother, speaking out today. Ms. Morin, when did you learn that Rachel was missing?
It was actually, I woke, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but I woke up the morning that they found her body, and we were still in Kentucky because I had a grandbaby that had passed away, and we had just did a funeral for her. And I woke up and I said, I just have a really bad feeling that something's happened to Rachel. And my oldest daughter, who rode down with me, she checked on Facebook and she messaged other family members. And it was while she was on Facebook that she found out that Rachel had been reported missing. Nobody contacted us before then. And then it wasn't until after they found Rachel's body that the sheriff department used one of my children's phone to contact me to let us know that they had found her body. So we kind of didn't know until after the fact. She had been missing and already passed.
Who told you that Rachel was missing, and who told you that her body had been found?
My oldest daughter saw the post on Facebook on the sheriff's webpage. And then it was the investigating detective at the time that had called using my son's phone to let us know that they had found her and they believed that it was her and that she had passed away. Well, they found her body. So, I mean, either you find a person.
And really, all of this was instigated because you had a, quote, bad feeling. Miss Morin, I've got to tell you something. When my fiance was murdered, I had just walked out of a statistics exam, and I was on my way to my job in the library, and I got a message to call Keith's family, and I knew right then that Keith was dead. That minute. When they picked up the phone and said hello, I said, is Keith gone? I knew. I don't know how that happens, Miss Morin. I don't know how that happens, but it happened. What was the feeling that you had? What did it feel like?
It when I woke up, it felt like it felt like a shadow. It also felt like profound, like sadness, emptiness. Like I just knew that there was something that, like I think it's just mother's intuition. I just knew there was something that wasn't right, that there was something terribly wrong, but I didn't know what it was. And when my kids were younger, teenagers, and they would, go spend time with their friends, I would know if they were, being honest or not. It's like a mother just knows her children. I can't explain it. I don't profess to be psychic or anything. I just think it's because we are a close-knit family. And so my oldest daughter, knowing that mom's intuition is usually correct, she went looking, contacting her brothers, and to see, if everybody was okay. And that's how we found out.
Do you remember what you were doing when you were told that Rachel's body had been found?
I was at my son's house. We were getting ready to come back to Maryland. But we weren't sure what was happening with Rachel. So I wanted to hurry up and come back so we could be part of looking for her. And so we had packed up our things. We were getting ready to pack up the car when we got the phone call that she was missing. I think we were like maybe a half mile, not a half mile, like a half hour or so down the road from my son's house heading back. And my daughter that had traveled with me, my oldest daughter, she said, "Mom, you need to turn around and go home because you're not going to be able to drive the 10 hours home." And so, I thought I was okay, but my son and my daughter insisted that I stay a couple of days to bring my emotions and things under control so I could drive the 10 hours back to Maryland.
Miss Morin, what was your initial reaction? I know when I was told that Keith was dead, I didn't believe it. I immediately thought, wait, this is wrong. There's been some type of an accident. And if I can just get there fast enough, I can get him to a hospital and I can fix it. I can fix this. I couldn't take it in until I saw someone write Bernstein Funeral Home. And that's really when I took in that Keith was actually dead. What was your initial reaction? Did you believe it? Did you think there had been a mistake?
When I first heard that she was missing, I had hoped that we would find her. When they said they found her body, that was probably, you know that it's true because somebody in authority is telling you it, but at the same time, you don't want to accept it as true. Like I can't. It's too painful to believe that it's true. And it wasn't actually until we unveiled her headstone that for the first time it felt like Rachel is really gone. I know, sorry, I know that she's gone, but it made it like concrete, like she's really gone, and that I need to I'm trying to figure out how do I disconnect being a mom from this process of grieving, because I still feel connected to her. So I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. So I apologize for crying. Sorry. It's because it's so very sad to me. I loved Rachel very much. I love all my children. So it's been just like very hard. It's been very hard for all of us, actually.
Joining me is Rachel Morin's mother, speaking out before we delve into the facts and what we know right now about catching the killer. When we were on break, Miss Morin, you said, "I can't believe it's been 8 months and it's not getting any better."
Yeah, you would. Well, I suppose I would think it's been 8 months, but the emotion is still so strong. And like the grief and sorrow, it's still very intense. It's so sad. Like, she should never have died. Like, she didn't do anything wrong. She was just walking the trail, which she does all the time. They've been doing it since they were little kids, and we moved here to Maryland. That was one of the things we did after supper, is we would go as a family and walk the trail. The boys would run into the woods, look for bugs and frogs and that kind of stuff. So it's
You
like
mean this trail or a trail near your family home?
this trail. We lived a block from this trail for over 10 years. And when they were growing up,
So this was her childhood home and
yes,
childhood area. So she had walked this trail many, many times. And there's a lot to what you just said, her familiarity with the trail, feeling at home or at ease there, to the point where I'm sure, no fault of her own, I do it too. She felt at ease and probably let her defenses down, like we all do when we're at home or we're doing something we do every day. That's normal. Karen Stark, can you weigh in on, with me is Karen Stark, renowned psychologist, TV, radio, trauma expert at KarenStark.com, Karen with a C, in case you're trying to reach her. Can you, and I'm sure you can, I'm just the JD, you're the shrink. Can you assign a word or words to what Miss Morin is going through?
This is so typical of grief, Nancy. I mean, I recognized it right away. I'm sure you did too, that you just can't accept that the person has died. And it takes a very long time for that to sink in. You're also talking about a mother, that connection, that mother's instinct that she talked about. And that will never go away, that feeling of being connected. But having to accept it, it takes a long time till we're able to accept the loss of a child who should never die before you. It's not the way it's supposed to work.
What do we know about the killer? And where do we get that information? From the crime scene. Listen.
Since the body of Rachel Morin was discovered in a drainage tunnel not far from the main entrance of the Ma and Pa Trail, Michael Gabrzeski has spoken out to the media about what he and his stepdaughter found or witnessed. The following information has been reported as fact by Michael Gabrzeski. Claim number 1. Gabrzeski's stepdaughter Cecilia discovered the body of Rachel Morin in a drainage tunnel. Claim number 2. Rachel Morin was lying on her back, fully naked, and she had brutal head trauma. It looked like her head had been smashed with a rock. Claim number 3. There was a 15 to 20 foot blood trail, so it looked like she had been beaten and dragged into position. Claim number 4. The right side of her face was gone. And claim number 5. It looked like the killer was trying to erase her identity.
Again, joining me in an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But I just wanted to say to Miss Morin, I was told nothing about my fiance's murders, the case surrounding it before trial. I was called in as a witness, although I did not see the murder occur. And I remember coming off the witness stand and seeing Keith's bloody shirt on the state's counsel table. And it literally stopped me in my tracks. I was not prepared for that. And I want to apologize to you for going through these facts. And the reason I'm doing it, Mrs. Morin, is because these facts are going to help catch her killer. And only these facts are going to help catch her killer. And I hate to rehash them with you there, but I want your input. You are her mother. You know more about her and this trail than anybody on this panel or anybody out there, period. So please, you, along with your attorney, Randolph Rice, please jump in whenever you hear something that's wrong or you want to comment on. I want to go now to another special guest joining us, Tim Papa, former FBI profiler, supervisory special agent, and listen to this, founder and behavioral content creator of Storytellers on YouTube. He has walked the trail. He has examined the crime scene. From the FBI, Tim Papa. Tim, help me out. What is taking so long? We got the guy's DNA. We've got what I believe to be an excellent composite. And you know, composites can go in a lot of different directions. Example, have you seen those sketch artist drawings of what goes on in federal court where there are no cameras? Nobody looks like those sketches at all. I've worked on a lot of composites, including composites created post-mortem of victims when I needed somebody to identify a victim. What I'm telling you is I think this is a pretty good composite. So that said, Tim Papa, help me.
No, I mean, the timing is frustrating, but if you have an inexperienced killer, which is what I think we have here, it's true that they might make more mistakes, but it also is likely true that they're not going to have a pattern because they're inexperienced. So they might be learning, but they also might be becoming more reckless in some of their behaviors.
Hey guys, what you're seeing right now, and I thank you, New York Control Room, for putting that up. This is the perp. There's no question. How do I know that? His DNA pops up in LA. Rachel was murdered in brutal fashion in Maryland, Bel Air, Maryland. This guy's DNA pops up from a crime scene in LA. That's where we're getting a lot of this composite. Hey, can I see that video one more time? So he attacks a group of people, a group inside this home. He's brazen. I believe he sex assaulted someone in there. A child came to the door of the room and started screaming. It woke everybody up. Didn't bother him. Look, he's not even running, for Pete's sake. I would be running like greased lightning out of that house. Doesn't even bother to put his shirt on. This guy is brazen. Now, how does this guy pop up in Bel Air, Maryland, and LA? 2 violent crime scenes, 2 sex assaults, 1 murder, and we don't have him yet. So, Tim, that's what I'm saying. I think this is a really good composite based on what I can see.
It is. You know, Rachel may have just been a target of opportunity, but he would have been familiar enough with that trail to know where he might have some cover in timing to attack someone. I think this comes down to relationships, that there are still people who are not coming forward who have information.
Well, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I can figure that out. And I'm not an FBI profiler, Tim Papa. I need a little bit more from you about that. But I also want to say, you initially said you believe he's an experienced killer. I know he laid in wait. And Joe Scott's going to jump in on that, Joe Scott Morgan, because there's a curve. And Miss Morin and Randolph Rice, jump in if you know better. But there's apparently a curve in that trail, enough to where she could be walking forward and can't see him, like a predator, like a wolf, waiting around the curve. And also, there was a lot of foliage at the time Rachel was attacked, which could have obscured her vision. He was waiting like a hyena for her to come along. From his vantage point, he could see her coming, but she
Nancy,
couldn't
let me
see
just
him.
lay a couple of groundwork so that might help out a little bit. So the video that you saw, that was in March in Los Angeles, of a doorbell camera that captured that individual leaving the home. The belief is that he did not enter the home to that door, so that's why we don't have that the police don't have that video. March of 2023, that video is taken. Then fast forward to August of 2023, when Rachel's body is found on the Morin'S Trail, which anybody from Maryland or that area of Maryland, which is the northeast part of Maryland, will tell you that the Morin'S Trail is not a trail that is easy to find. It is off the beaten path. It is not near the main drag. You have to really know the area or get familiar a little bit with the area or have some connection to the area to be able to find the Morin'S Trail. It's not off Interstate 95, which is a very popular interstate that runs up the east coast of the United States, runs through Harford County, but even the Morin'S Trail is probably a good 10 to 15 miles from I-95. So this is not a trail where you would just hop off a major interstate and find this trail. So he has to have some knowledge. And that's sort of one of the reasons why we did what we did early on in the investigation of our digital campaign to the Hispanic community, the flyers that we presented in both English and Spanish to those areas, because we believed, and we still believe, as Tim indicated, that he has a connection to this area. As we believe he also has a connection to that neighborhood in Los Angeles, which is just south of downtown. So hitting those areas, hoping that somebody will know him, recognize him, and be able to identify him is what we're trying to do. We've even got now, Patty can tell you that she went on camera last week and we shot a series of television commercials that we're going to start in the next couple of weeks on digital media, hitting specific zip codes in Los Angeles, as well as Harford County, as well as the border communities, because we know this is a Hispanic male who there's a possibility that somebody on the border communities uh, may know who he is as well, and we're going to hit those with social media campaigns to where somebody can see those pictures.
In processing the scene, we recovered genetic material. That genetic material ultimately was entered into a system called Cotus, which is a national DNA database. Cotus contains not only known offenders, but it also contains DNA samples from other unsolved crimes with unknown suspects. Cotus was a huge break for us. And what we were able to do was link this crime to another unsolved crime in Los Angeles, which was a home invasion. And in that instance, that suspect left behind a hat. And that hat was collected by the Los Angeles Police Department, and DNA was located on that hat, and that DNA was entered into Cotus. When we entered our sample in from our crime scene, those two matched. So that allowed us ultimately to be able to recover video evidence that showed us who our suspect was and allowed us to link two crimes that occurred on opposite sides of the country.
Rachel Morin's mother is not able to move forward. She's stuck. And now she's spending her own money, her own savings to create commercials, create flyers to help catch her daughter's killer. Won't you help us? Joining me is Rachel's mother, Patty Morin, and the family lawyer joining us. Randolph, you have a flyer, Randolph Rice, high-profile lawyer that is representing the Morin family. Can I see that, please?
Sure. So this is the two-sided flyer that we sent to 10,000 homes in and around the crime scene in Los Angeles County. We were able to identify the home based on Google Images. If you take a look at the video, there's a very unique ridge line across the street. We were able to search those neighborhoods, find the home, and then pinpoint that and drop a dot and hit 10,000 homes around that through the use of what's called EDDM. And I don't mean to get in the weeds here, but this is a program that most people don't realize that the Postal Service developed to find lost dogs. But we used it to make everybody aware of this man. At the time, we didn't have the sketch, so we were using the video that you see there. We took still shots from that and put it on a reward flyer and delivered to every single home in the neighborhood around that crime scene in Los Angeles at the end of 2023. In addition to that, we took this flyer, we sent packs of these to every single high school in the area around here, because that suspect is identified as a fairly young man, probably in his mid to early 20s, and believing that maybe he went to high school in that area. That flyer went to every single high school principal and asked to distribute to their staff, to their employees, to the students, to themselves, to try to identify who this man is. And then this was also coupled with a digital campaign that we ran in Spanish to all these Spanish-speaking websites in Harford County as well as Los Angeles County at the end of last year. So we're trying every possible way to get these images in front of anybody who can identify them. Just a name. So all we need is a name. And we've put in $10,000 and we got another $10,000 and the reward's now up to $35,000. And we've said to everybody that's listened, tell us a name, you get $35,000. That's all we need. No questions asked.
One name, 2 words for $35,000. Miss Morin, I got to tell you, you got some lawyer right there. Those techniques that you're employing are phenomenal, especially the use of EDDM, which I believe stands for Every Door Direct Mail, and that is used by the Postal Service. Guys, in addition to Miss Morin, Patty Morin, who is Rachel Morin's mom, and the family lawyer, Randolph Rice. Joining me, FBI profiler Tim Papa, Karen Stark, renowned psychologist, Alexis Tereszchuk joining us, crimeonline.com investigative reporter, and death investigator Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, and star of a hit series Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, I want to talk about what this crime scene means. You heard earlier Tim Papa from the FBI, formerly FBI, say an experienced killer. Weigh in. I want to hear your analysis.
What's striking to me, Nancy, is that the individual would be this bold, even though this trail is in an isolated area, as was pointed out by Tim, off of I-95, some 15 miles. However, this is a location this individual felt comfortable enough in to perpetrate such a heinous crime. And he's going to be very familiar with these specific locations within there, these blind spots you had mentioned, the curves, and certainly this ditch. I'm fascinated by this, that Rachel's remains would be contained in this location. It would be of interest here to think about what he could have done as far as laying in wait. Did they search that area thoroughly? Were there any tiebacks to him? Had he been camping in the area? Had he been seen around that immediate area? And one final thing here. You've got a vicious beast on your hands here. He needs to be found sooner than later, because if he is this bold, and if we are to believe what we have heard thus far reported in the news, the level of violence involved in this woe be unto anybody that would cross his path. This guy's very, very dangerous, Nancy.
With all we do know about these two crimes, the one in Los Angeles and the one here, my concern is that this killer is escalating. My investigators and I both firmly believe that if we do not apprehend this individual, he will kill again if he has not done so already. And if given the chance, he certainly could become a serial killer. Until he is in custody, this suspect poses a threat to every community in our country and maybe outside.
Joining me, crimeonline.com investigative reporter Alexis Tereszchuk. Alexis, what can you tell us regarding the latest in the search for Rachel's killer? I mean, it sounds to me like the attorney for the family, Randolph Rice, is doing the yeoman's share of work.
He is. He's doing what the police should have done. They have been blanketing the area. Here's the thing. I am from Los Angeles. The coverage has been minimal since the crime took place. And everybody saw the video. First went out, all of the news stations ran it. Everybody was aware of it. But there have been no sightings of him either in Maryland or Los Angeles. And as the sheriff said, the police are concerned that he may have fled the country. He could have gone south to Mexico. He could have gone anywhere. They don't have a name, so he's not on a no-fly list. They're not looking for him at the border. The only thing they have is his DNA. And luckily, it has been shared nationwide. So see, it went from Maryland. It was matched in Los Angeles. If he commits a crime anywhere else, hopefully not. That will show up as well because everything is interconnected.
Joining me, guys, an all-star panel, and we're trying to make sense of the facts that we know right now. To Patty Morin, this is Rachel's mother. Are you in regular contact with LA law enforcement?
Not LA law enforcement. I've had no contact with them.
LE law enforcement, the Bel Air police.
Hartford County Sheriff, yes.
What, if anything, are they telling you? Do they update you on a weekly basis?
They do not update me on a weekly basis. What they have told me in the past is they'll release information to me just before it's released to the public. But for the most part, they're keeping everything very close to the chest. And they say is for the integrity of the investigation. And so I know as much as you know, basically.
So you do get some details prior to them being released. What are they telling you, Patty?
The things that they have told me is before they released the video to the public, they showed us the video to see if we recognized the person. And then the next day they released it to the public. And then they showed us the sketch of the suspect before they released that to the public. Other than that, there really isn't anything else. Like, I didn't know about the hat or any of those things until the sheriff did his podcast where he released all that information. That was stuff that wasn't told to me beforehand.
Ms. Morin, have you gone back to the spot where Rachel's body was found?
Sadly, yes. We did a walk to remember Rachel, where there were about 2,000 people that had come out for this walk, and it was in August. Then we did a celebration of life service for her, and it was broadcast on YouTube, so those that couldn't be there could view it and see video clips of her growing up. And then since that walk of life, I haven't been able to bring myself to go on the trail, just because it felt like so fresh, like the death just happened, like it was so fresh. I couldn't bring myself to go near it. But one of my sons, wanting to help me to move forward, said, "Mom, it might help you if you just walk and I'll explain things as we go along the trail." Just things that he thought. It's speculation, but there's things that he thought. But then he brought me to the place where they did find her body. And it was very hard, but it was also one of those like signposts that makes it final, that she really was in this place at that time. And so it's kind of like a timestamp, but she's not there anymore. And I know that since then, people have actually gone to that place. And I know that there's like graffiti that people are leaving behind now, and they're like messages to Rachel. But so I walked the trail. I haven't been back since then, though.
With me is Rachel's mom, Patty Morin. Miss Morin, Rachel wasn't just killed, she was brutalized. But you have reason to believe she felt safe on the Mon Pa Trail. Why?
Yes. The town of Bel Air is a small town. We have a community college that's just a little bit of ways from the town. And we have lived here for over 20 years. Everybody, it's a small family trail. Everybody in the town walks, runs, bikes this trail. We've been doing it for over 20 years. Nothing like this has happened in our town like this. People feel safe. Everyone knows each other. You're on the trail so often that people say hi to each other. It was a very safe place. So she had no reason to believe that she was in harm's way.
And Nancy, just to give you some perspective, Harford County maybe has 5 homicides a year. And they're typically either drug related or domestically violent, where there's, maybe there was something brewing. Very rarely do they have these random attacks. And really, most people can't have recent memory of anything like this happening in such a small, close-knit, almost rural community.
Miss Morin, you stated that as part of that walk, you saw where Rachel's body was found. I've never gone back to where Keith was murdered. It took me so long to get out of that depression. I don't want to re-trigger it, especially now that I have children to raise. Yeah. What went through your mind when you saw that spot?
It's like, I know that it's a fact, but at the same time, it's like, I can't believe that it's real or true. I can't explain. It's almost like it's surreal. It's like you have to separate, this is a fact, from your emotions. And so in a part of my brain, it's like, yes, this is a fact, but I still can't, I'm still having a hard time just thinking that she's gone. Like, I can't comprehend. I know that it's true, but my heart won't let me comprehend it. And so that's why I avoided the trail and avoided the tunnel, because I wanted to avoid the pain. So yeah. So in one sense, it did help to go there and to see it, because then it's like your emotions aren't running all over the place. You have some fact to settle on. But at the same time, it's very hard, because then you have to accept the fact as true. I have to accept the fact that she has passed away, that she's been killed. And so it's been hard. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to be. Sorry.
Won't you help us help Rachel's mother? Just 2 words for $35,000. 410-836-7788. Repeat, 410-836-7788. Just 2 words. We stop and remember American hero, police officer Matthew Ruge. Just 27 years old, Matthew Ruge shot down in the line of duty along with Officer Paul Elmstrand and firefighter Adam Finseth, responding to a domestic. Matthew always dreamed of being a police officer. He loved helping people in need, leaving behind his parents, Sean and Christy, and his family. We remember American hero, police officer Matthew Ruge. I want to thank our guests, especially Mrs. Morin, but most of all to you for being with us tonight and every night and caring about the people and the cases that touch our lives. Nancy Grace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow night, 6 and 9 o'clock sharp Eastern. And until then, good night, friend. Guys, thank you for watching Crime Online with Nancy Grace here on YouTube. To get the very latest, subscribe to Crime Online here